Greek. The reverence with which you are viewed in all points from Boca North is just unbelievable. And it was pretty incredible. You should have seen Lubie, the admiration that this young man had for the Greek. He couldn't get enough of him. Well, it took us like an hour to get the Greek back down on the set there. Maps and all kinds of stuff, and then those hot babes that were perusing the area.
Boca's unique, all aspects of life. You can see a dime piece, and then somebody has got 2 minutes to live. On the same street. No doubt about it. I mean, you can have somebody come up to you in Boca and ask you for Botox, and then next month ask you for Coke.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you on this fine Thursday. The Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. We will have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up later on today. Dave Gurggles Gergely in the host chair on that one, and you can dial us up if you'd like to play. We have a number that is easily reachable at 954-417-0070. That's 954-417-0070. You don't have to dial in right now. We'll get that started about 8:30 this morning with Dave Gurggles Gergely, the fabled Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Big news in sports last night. Well, there were so many different things happening, right? You had the Rangers win their first ever World Series. You know what was amazing about yesterday, Libby? We did a total of about 3.5 hours of programming yesterday. We had this show, and then we had our No Filter thing. And then we finally got going with Tony Bruno Sports Network, which I think in the long run, I don't know why I believe this, but I think it's going to be a meal ticket for us. I believe that is going to work out. Although, I don't know. Are you disappointed that it's radio and audio only? Is there a chance it evolves into a streaming setup? I don't think that was their goal, is it?
Yeah, well, have everything eventually. I don't know about the whole. You always worry about. I just like partnering with a lot of people that I think are going to do something, and we're going to keep doing as much of that as possible. And I think there's no better person to do that than with Tony Bruno and Miss Robin. I mean, when we get on these things, even when they were stressing out, and you and I are like, it'll be all right. I have flashbacks to listening to them on national radio, and I'm like, it's got to work. I mean, like, if it's Tony Bruno, like, this has got to work out. Like, it's freaking Tony Bruno.
And he's great. I mean, this guy hasn't lost a step off his fastball there. I believe he's 71 years old. He's like a year younger than me, born in 1952, but still strong. I mean, very vibrant. Really knows what he's doing. He's been doing it forever. And I was listening a little bit yesterday as he got started with his 3 to 6 show on the Tony Bruno Sports Network, which what I like about it is people always ask us, hey, how can I get your show? Now, is it the minute you say Google something, is that what is the turnoff for people? Because you would think that would be fairly simple, no?
I mean, we have websites, we have apps, we have all the stuff that Tony has. I try to make it easier because in my world, when someone tells me to Google it, it's a lot easier. Like,
I would think, yeah. I mean, I tell people just Google the Defo Show. They come back to me a month later and ask me the same question. Hey, how can I hear the show?
We've done so much content that's the first thing that pops up. If you don't even have to put the Defo Show with Lubie anymore. You can just put the Defo Show, and it's this that pops up. Yeah. It's very easy, but whatever.
It's simple, yeah. But I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and then, a time later, whatever, whether it's a month, 2 months, 3 months, I see them at the racetrack, some casino, out on the streets. They're like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? You doing something? What are you doing? I want to get you. I missed the show. And I tell them, just Google the Defo Show. And they give you that look.
Like, why is that hard?
Like the wife gives you. When you kind of give her that look like, are we going to get it on tonight? And she just gives you that look like, I don't know. But, it's a blank look that you get when people come back to you later on and say, I don't know how to get the show. Now, we obviously have people that are getting this because we have an active chat line and people participate. And we do get the people calling in to play the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. It'll be interesting today. We're going to try and take our first telephone call on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. Yes. And that will be a caller interactive, which I dig. I think the shows will be a lot of fun once we get in touch with the rest of the country. I'm presuming the dominant portion of the audience will be comprised of people from the good old United States of America, although this stuff all broadcasts internationally. Hey, we got a call from Germany here. Mikkel wants to talk to you, Defo. And you're thinking, okay, that's kind of cool too. But we're going to experiment a little bit today. And it's interesting how things work out because Bobby Knight checked out.
Oh, yesterday was ridiculous. First of all, the Bobby Knight World Series, and it's funny because we talked about it on the other show. We didn't get to talk about it here. The sports betting thing popped later in the day. We didn't get, and that's something I would think we would spend the whole freaking morning talking about.
I still don't get it. I don't understand completely what's going on. I know how it's going to be set up in the beginning.
Yeah.
You have a variety of Seminole tribe run casinos.
Mhm.
The Hard Rock being the biggest and most obvious one that people would gravitate towards. They do have Coconut Creek Casino, which I'm assuming they're going to put sports betting in there. I guess it was all on-site Seminole tribe casinos.
Yes.
Which would also include they have a Hard Rock in Tampa that's run by the Seminole tribe.
Mhm.
They have something out there in the middle of the Everglades in Immokalee.
Yes, they do.
That you dodge alligators, you take like an airboat ride to get there. And then, of course, they have the Classic Casino, which is across the street from one of our fine sponsors on the Mike Mayo Show, the Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. But
Yes.
and is just a block away from the Hard Rock. But I would imagine that you'll be able they'll be set up to roll in there and make your sports bets. But the app is not, and that seems to be where all of the action is these days. Everybody's
Big
just betting
deal.
on their phone.
Now, the bit when you see New York, New Jersey makes billions,
Yes.
it's not on site. Now, there is money to be had on site. So to us, it was dumb that they weren't at least doing that because they did get clearance for that.
Yes.
But the apps where they make the numbers that make a state happy. That's
Well, and here's the thing, though. Isn't New Jersey like, I mean, and I would imagine this is true of most other states that have legalized sports wagering, that the state is the benefactor directly.
tons of money. Tons of
Now, I understand that there is some ridiculous amount of money that the Seminole tribe is allocating for the state for the right to do this. But why would you sell off the right to run it yourself? I just, for the life of me, I don't understand that. Why wouldn't the state just want to run it? Then they would have had no problem with this app deal. They wouldn't have had to have any on-site betting if they didn't want to, but they could have gone ahead and awarded the various casinos because there are other casinos that are run by other people that are being shut out, which seems to be just a blatant and outrageous injustice, does it not? I mean, if you're running a casino in this state, well, why should one casino get priority over the others? And they've already been doing that with the blackjack games that they're allowing. And it's tribal law also, which Native American, law and legislation is a whole nother ballpark that a lot of people don't get either. And there are specialists in this, but with the sovereign state of affairs of the land that the Seminole tribe, the reservation, so to speak, they've been able to do a lot of different things, but they seem to be somewhat in sync with what the state's desires are. Why wouldn't the state just run the thing itself? I don't, for the life of me, I don't understand that, Lubie.
whatever.
Why would you sell off the rights to do this? I guess in New York, right? They have somebody that's running it, somebody that's in the gaming industry. But you would think that the state would want to just have all of the opportunity they could to benefit the most from the revenue that's going to be generated here, which can do a lot of good. I mean, people are betting anyway, so you may as well. It's just like the legalization of marijuana for so many years, which we have a Fugazi system here in South Florida right now, or in Florida, with the medical marijuana being okay, but recreational use is still taboo, which makes no sense because do you really think that there's a medical need for all of these people to be buying marijuana at these various
I
dispensaries?
mean, it's medical in the sense of it's like everyday medical. It's like I have a headache right now. I get anxiety once in a while. I have nervous, it's not like it's not all glaucoma or stage 4 cancer patients. It's majority of everyday odds and end pains. That's literally what do you mean at this tequila thing? They're going to have a doctor there giving scripts, giving out medical cards.
It's kind of like the online guide that approves your order for generic Viagra.
Exactly. Like,
I mean, is this guy really doing an exam? What kind of doctor? Is that Dr. Principata? I mean,
they're not testing you for cancer at the fucking Meisner Park Amphitheater. Like it's
exactly.
they're not, it's pseudo recreational. That's really what it is. I mean,
My wife gets the medical card. Do you have the medical card? Either
no,
you
no.
or the lovely Shirley? No.
I know enough people that have it and it gets
See,
annoying.
but that's lousy, that poaching off other people. It's like poaching a racing form. It's so annoying. People call all the time, like, "Hey, can you pick me up 6 things of gummy bears?"
And that's the thing.
It's like, you're going there for yourself. Just go get the card. It's like $140 every 6 months or every 7 months or something. Some ridiculous fee that you have to pay, and you have to go visit a doctor, and he has to approve you, or he or she has to approve you. And it's very inconvenient. I don't even know if you have to continue to visit the doctor. You used to have to go and make an actual personal visit every 7 months, which was a pain in the ass, right? Because the guy that does the approvals in this area, at least the one that we found, was somewhere out in Coral Springs. So you had to schlep all the way out west. And then you go in there, and what is the guy doing? It's one of those things where, I guess you're in need of this stuff. And that's it. They don't really check into too much. In fact, I heard a guy talking about it, that guy Angel that does the nights on Tony Bruno Sports Network. And he was talking about how he got the approval for the medical card. And they were asking him a bunch of questions. And foolishly, he kept, trying to tell him the truth.
Yeah.
So they asked him, well, have you ever had this? And he says, no. Have you ever had that? And he says, no. And, finally it boiled down to, have you ever eaten an apple?
Yeah, exactly. They mentioned that he was going to get you to see
Oh, yeah. I think I had one when I was a kid. I had a candy apple. Okay. Whatever you need. Just go to the store and ask for it. Which I would say this. I think, now that it's somewhat legal, the prices are more than reasonable at these various dispensaries. They're always offering incredible discounts. Hey, you want more of this shit? Yeah, sure. Doesn't seem to be any discretion being used there in terms of the amount of marijuana and THC products that they're willing to allocate for you to deal with your various ailments. But I don't understand why the state didn't just legislate all of the gambling and run the entire thing, and why it had to go through the Seminole tribe. There was such opposition originally to these tribes, the Miccosukees and the Seminoles, even opening up any kind of casino. They had to do it in such a fugazi fashion. And they finally just said, hey, you know what? Fuck you. You can't do anything about it. You're not going to be able to stop us anyway. So, because we won't even let you come on the land here.
Yep.
You feds, get the fuck out of here, right? Hey, Ness, take that. Right? It was like the chief was going over to the guy from the FBI just saying, what do you think about that, Ness? Like Frank Nitti used to do on the Untouchable series many years ago. But anyway, so that was a big development. I don't know exactly what it's going to mean. It is a lot of fun. I will say this from my ventures in Atlantic City, where New Jersey has had legalized gambling, and of course on the app, and the New York people before they got that approved. We're all running over the bridge, as we talked about the other day, and they were getting halfway across like the Verrazano, and
it works.
200 on the Chiefs, right? 1 foot. I mean, it's like the wet foot, dry foot thing, which is an insane law here regarding immigration and Cuban refugees being able to come into this country, where if you make it to the beach and you have 1 foot on the sand, you're okay.
But if you're Mexican, that doesn't work. If you're Mexican or Venezuelan, no, only Cuban.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're 2 feet are in the water, they ship you back.
Yes, they do.
You could be standing on the shore there picking up seashells, and what? 2 feet in the water, back to Havana. Kind of sugar thinking is involved here. When will someone with like some semblance of logic step in and straighten out all of this stuff? Do you think it's going to happen? It won't happen in my lifetime.
They don't. In the country, maybe. In the state, no. Our state's gone off the fucking rails.
Think about our leaders here.
It's fucking so.
We have Rick Scott, a stone criminal, known to have defrauded the government out of millions and millions of dollars. That's how he got fucking rich in the first place.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Marco Rubio, the human wimp, where has he been lately?
Nowhere.
With any of the stuff that's going on. Is he talking about these mass shootings at all? I don't think he's issued a statement about any of that, has he?
He just gets elected and he goes away. Once he gets elected, he's like, oh, I'm elected again. Okay, I'll go back to not giving a shit.
Exactly. If George Santos had done the same thing, he'd be in high esteem in Congress. That's amazing, too, that these Republicans won't take his number down because they're afraid that they're going to lose any kind of ability to pass laws that are highly restrictive in terms of your freedoms and rights that you had worked so hard in this country to achieve in the first place. But they want to strip you of everything and go back to, where the Pilgrims were at. And so they won't even throw this guy out of office when they know he's a piece of shit and he's
Oh, yeah.
representing their party.
Yes.
My God. No, it's insane. And that's why it's almost ridiculous to even get into this stuff. But I'm surprised, there's usually, ridiculous restrictions on these sort of things. We have never been in tune in the state of Florida with any kind of innovative thinking when it came to gambling, pari-mutuels, or any of that stuff. Everything happens in a fugazi fashion. Even when you go to the Harrah's Casino, they still are running the table games by what seems like an absolutely bizarre system, Lubie. Have you been in any of these
I've been
casinos
with
where they
you.
have table games besides the Hard Rock or the Seminole casinos?
Is it the video ones, which to me look exactly like the real ones?
Well, they have, blackjack on video and craps. They have that stupid thing where the giant rubber dice is bouncing in the cage, and you're assuming there's a way with magnets that it comes down and that everybody's a loser every time. But the first time I saw this, I was kind of surprised. I was in San Diego many years ago. We were actually and this was really, you talk about fugazi events. We were sent to a broadcasting boot camp.
Oh, there you go.
It was Steve Goldstein, Ron Hersey, me, and a young lady whose name escapes me, who was doing traffic on this morning drive show, but also happened to be banging the boss, a gentleman named Greg Reed, who was the general manager of the radio station WQAM. He started out, had a lot of success as the GM of Power 96, which was a top 40 station, I guess. I don't know. Is it top 40? Is that the
like top 40 dance?
Yeah.
Latin. Like
okay, a very popular station for a long period of time. I think it's still popular, believe it or not.
Heritage station, I think.
DJ Laz, all of these guys were on there, legendary guys that were broadcasters here in South Florida. Yeah. And he really, the real goal of this gentleman, Greg Reed, was to spend the week with his girlfriend in San Diego, who we had just put on the morning show, which this morning show was doomed. I mean, it was going to be a disaster because there was just, we had been doing the first team forever. For some reason, this guy got a hair up his ass and he wanted to break it up. It was Joe Rose, Steve Goldstein, and me, and we had a lot of success. Had about a 6.5-year run, being right there at the top of the sports time. I still have people coming up to me telling me, "Whoa, that was my favorite show you were ever on."
I always talk about the first team. Yep,
first team. It was all right. I mean, when I was doing it, I didn't think it was all that great, but nonetheless, everybody liked it. So who am I to argue with what you guys consider to be a good performance on our part or anybody else's for that matter? If you like what they're doing, great. That's fine. I never argue with anybody and say, no, it wasn't my favorite show to be on. I mean, a lot of tension there in the beginning too. It was really, really weird. But no, it worked out fine. And those are both good people. And I enjoyed it. And it was a nice run. Yeah. It's nice to be known for something that people enjoyed and found somewhat significant. It was a red hot period of time in South Florida sports. A lot of new stuff was happening. We were starting to evolve in sports. As you know, the Dolphins were kind of down, but we still had Danny Boy, and they were still prominent just because of that alone. The Miami Heat were starting to get some things together, and there were a lot of good things happening. So it was a good time to be doing sports in this area. But anyway, so he busts that up and he sends everybody to San Diego, and we were going to spend a week with a consultant. And that always scares me because you wonder, how did this guy become a consultant? If he's so great at this, why isn't he on the air kicking it ass somewhere? Correct, right?
100%. Their suggestions are
those that can't do teach.
Stupid. Yeah, exactly. Their suggestions are always stupid.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, because if people that aren't on this side of the microphone don't understand what it's like to be on this side of the microphone, even if they have a deep understanding of all the theories about the business and performances and this and that, and they may make some useful suggestions, but get on here and try it. Let me see how you do. Can you really execute this? And if you do, are you going to have the most boring fucking show that was ever created? The one that always got me was Just Play the Hits.
Yeah, I never heard that one, thank God.
My God.
I got into it.
As if we were a top 40 radio station.
I don't know what that means.
What does that mean? I mean, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that we should talk about the passing of Bobby Knight at, say, for 40% of the show? And then, talk about the Dolphins game coming up against the Chiefs? There's just too much stuff. And people approach it in so many different fashions that I don't know that you necessarily. These network shows, are they playing the hits, Lubie?
I
There's
guess they talk Cowboys, LeBron. I don't know.
Do you really want to have the same conversation with people every day? Like if you have a
No.
friend and every day they bring up the same stupid thing, and then finally you just have to tell them, "Shut the fuck up about that." It's crazy. Anyway, we went out there, and just to wrap this up, because we have Dave Gurggles Gergely ready to go with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, and I never had experienced this, so naturally I gravitate towards the local Native American casino, which was the Sequan tribe out in California, and I was somewhat familiar with them because they were involved in boxing. And they had gotten a boxing program going there, and there were times where, and I was calling some boxing matches, where you would see the Sequan tribe bring all 10 fighters that were the opponents to a particular event. So whoever the local guys were, they were all fighting guys from San Diego that were signed by the Sequan tribe as part of their umbrella of management that they had. And, that's not uncommon for one promoter to bring most of the people to an event. And anyway, so I go in there to play, some blackjack because, it was great, right? Hey, there's a casino here. Unbelievable that we didn't have them here in South Florida. And I was amazed that the house is not the bank. Where like you would go there, Lubie. Let's say you had $50,000 or whatever they ask you to put up to be the bank, and then you become the bank for that table. So if a guy wins, you have to pay him, and if he loses, you get his money. It doesn't go to the house. And the deal was you had to pay 50 cents a hand. I think it was 50 cents a hand to play. That was the juice that went to the house. So right away, you're at an extreme disadvantage because if you think about that, if you play 20 hands of blackjack, that's an extra $10. You're already bucking the odds by playing 10 hands of blackjack. If you happen to get a favorable result, now you're involved in the juice here. It's almost like betting a sporting event at minus 110 to win 100.
Yeah.
Where eventually, even if you go 500, you still lose.
Yeah.
But they have that here now. I mean, this is 30 years later, Lubie. Where when you go to Harris Casino, somebody's the bank at these table games. It's not the house. So what kind of, bizarre law are they trying to circumvent by having table games conducted in that fashion?
I have no idea. I don't know. Hopefully this thing allows a stop of that. I know it's just Seminoles right now, but hopefully Seminoles realize the more the better and get out.
Why always have confusion, though, about this stuff? Why not just come right out and say, okay, we're going to approve sports wagering in the state of Florida, and everybody's got it. Go ahead and do it. You want to book bets and you own a casino license, go ahead. Have it at all of the local casinos, Hialeah Park being one. They were supposed to be on this thing, and now I guess they're kind of shut out.
I don't know, but this gentleman definitely knows about this world, so I figure we'll bring, if we're going to have anyone involved in this conversation, I know Gurggles can definitely.
I know what Gurggles has been doing, though. He was excavating the land underneath his house to see if he could find a piece of jade.
Seminole land. Make sure it's Seminole.
To see if there was any Indian remains under there, and then he would declare himself a casino and open up his own sports wagering book. Gurggles, how are you, my friend?
Doing fine. Can you hear me all right?
You sound
We hear
great.
you just fine. Yeah, you sound good, and you got rid of the boxes.
Yeah, that was our tournament for St. Jude's, and we raised over 70,000 for St. Jude's on Monday.
That's great.
Really was great. We had the doctor flies in from Memphis every year. Our greenskeeper son has been a patient since he's 5. He's now 26, and we had an auction of a weekend at Hammock Beach with golf, and I had 2 guys go crazy. Both bid 3,000. So I said, "I'll tell you what. How about if I get another one? You can each have one."
Wow.
Sent an email to the lady, and she was so gracious. She sent us another weekend, so it really was
beautiful.
Great. So, and that's why today I want to get on early because I have 144 today at 12 noon for the Demoya Foundation that help children with special needs. So we're rocking.
Very good. Well, we're going to bail out at 9 o'clock. This is going to be a quick edition of the program. In general, what do you think of this whole scenario here with the sports wagering in Florida and the way that tentatively, at least in the beginning, it's set up?
Well, I think anything is a start after what we've been waiting for a long time. And we had the Hard Rock here as the major sponsor Monday for our St. Jude's tournament, and they were telling me, "Hey, you're going to hear something pretty soon." So anything is a start, and then let's see if we can make inroads and include everybody. I'm kind of with you though. I would just soon. You got the license, you got the right. That's I'd get everybody in.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, gambling is gambling. If you're going to allow people to play slot machines, let them bet their sports there
Tells
too.
the difference.
Yeah, I did see the Pauly man walking around with a headdress on, so I guess he wants to get in somehow.
I think he got that from my friend Danny Little Red Lopez, who used to
Yeah.
come across the ring there before the fight and deliver a headdress to big opponents that he was going against, including the great Salvador Sanchez, which unfortunately Salvador then continued to just hammer Danny's face to the point where you couldn't recognize him after the fight. But that was an unfortunate loss, and one that I had a wager on because I had a funny feeling that it wasn't going to go my way, but I had to back my buddy. All right, we're going to get right into the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Are you ready, Gergs?
Yes, sir.
No breaks, no rest for the weary here, because we want to get as many people in as we can before we hit the road on this show. The number to call is 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Lubie's going to be taking your telephone calls. In fact, if you're watching the video stream, you can actually see him in action doing that, which is a weird aspect of this particular type of broadcasting. So why don't we do it? I exchanged some texts with the Pauly man. He seems to be in fine spirits. He says he's going back to work today, I believe, after having a little bit of a health incident. Not that that was something that we weren't, accustomed to with the Pauly man, various health scares, but apparently he's overcoming again. This guy will outlive the cockroach. He really will. It's the one thing that'll be left when the earth is destroyed, which it seems like we're heading in that direction, slowly but surely. And yet the Pauly man and the cockroach will be the two things that are still standing. So we dedicate the game to the Pauly man. We love the guy, and we're going to start it out in the traditional fashion with Dave Gurggles Gergely in the role of the Pauly man in some
Easy Baseball. This longtime manager talking about how baseball has changed said, I walk into the clubhouse, it's like walking into the Mayo Clinic. We have 4 doctors, 3 therapists, and 5 trainers. Back when I broke in, we had 1 trainer who carried a bottle of rubbing alcohol, and by the 7th inning, he had drunk that too. What's that? Tommy Lasorda, Tommy John Bacabella, or Happy Fella?
All right, here's a Ranophone Scrambler. And our first player on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on this Thursday is Ron. Ron, you have the stage. You're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. Let's go with A.
A is right on the money, and you have 1 point.
Morning,
We're
Ron.
rolling, Gergs.
Golf, Ron, true or false?
Morning, Gerd.
Good morning, Ron. Robert Wagner, he of To Catch a Thief fame, got his break and getting into the movies when he was caddying for Clark Gable in Lake Tahoe. True or false?
Let's go true.
I believe that is true. Yeah.
Yeah, it is true.
Did Christopher Walken ever mention what happened on the boat that night with Natalie Wood?
No, I don't think he mentioned that.
I don't think he came clean. Something went on there. We don't know what. It didn't sound kosher to me. All right, 2 for 2. Ron going for 5.
All right, sports, Ron. When the Texas Rangers won their 10th straight postseason game on the road, that tied a record set by what other sports team winning 10 straight postseason games on the road? The Boston Celtics, the Atlanta Braves, the LA Kings, or the Oakland A's?
Go LA Kings.
That's
wow.
right.
Nice
Wow,
job.
holy cow.
They made it 11 last night.
Yeah,
They
that's
closed
exactly
out the
right.
World Series.
Wow.
You know what's funny, Gurgles? We did like 3.5 hours of shows yesterday all together. Never mentioned the World Series. Forgot all about it.
No kidding. Wow.
And that was with a mind bet at 50-1 on the Arizona Diamondbacks that we were talking about and analyzing in great detail about whether or not to hedge. All right, going for
This would be a
10
sweep.
points in the sweep. Ron.
Sweep.
Yeah, sweep,
Going for the sweep. All right, Ron. Breeders' Cup is starting tomorrow, the Friday event, and Saturday. Ron, we want to know who's the first horse to win the Derby and the Breeders' Cup Classic in the same year. Was that Ali Sheba, Affirm, Gato del Sol, or Ferdinand?
Go Ferdinand.
Ferdinand. That was my guess.
1986.
Wow.
Wow. This guy's good.
Charlie Whittingham, man.
Great run. Well,
Unbelievable. All right, Ron with a sweep to open things up. So Ron has himself reserved a spot in the finals, unless everybody sweeps or we get 3 sweepers, in which case we might have to go to the random phone scrambler and a new rule. By the way, a programming note on our Tony Bruno Sports Network radio show, 10 to 12 Eastern every day. Tomorrow we will feature from the backstretch of Santa Anita, the great, the lovely Kate Bradar will help us analyze the Breeders' Cup on the show. Always good to hear Katen's analysis on these things, even if she whiffs on who she selects. Brilliant stuff, as always, and great insight into what's going on, and really plugged in. Great detail. I consider Katen to be one of the finest reporters in any sport, whatever the sport may be. I mean, just a genuine expert on thoroughbred racing, and does a fantastic job. Gracious enough to join us tomorrow on our Tony Bruno Sports Network show, although today will be the first experiment on that as to whether or not we can get a guest on. And then, who knows? I mean, the possibility of the return of the Polyman in the radio version of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Lubie's shaking his head. No way, huh? What, return of the Polyman or the radio version?
I don't know.
He's not answering either question here. He's like, it's like the Trump fraud trial. Well, Eric, I mean, did you ever see these documents? Nah, I know nothing about them.
I just want to get up and running. That's where my focus is, and then we'll worry about future dreams and goals.
All right, dial us up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. We're going to go right into it since we have limited time here. Gurggles waiting on 144 golfers to show up. What is that? Wow, I mean, is that the maximum you could have for a tournament?
Yeah, it is. Exactly.
Like 6 guys on each tee and two groups?
Well, actually, each tee would have 2 foursomes on. It'd be 1A and 1B, almost like, betting the entries, if you will.
How'd you feel about being the second group up on that one? Yeah,
I think it's great because you heckle the first group. That's what I always do. By all means, yeah.
All right, here we go. Second set of questions.
Hockey.
Dave Gurggles Gergely.
All right, hockey. This legendary announcer on his career as a player once said, I used to pray to the Lord every night to make me a hockey player. Of course, I forgot to mention the NHL, so I spent 16 years in the minors. What's that? The great Don Cherry, Darryl Strawberry, Danny Ferry, or Wild Red Berry?
You could consider that kind of line the Bob Eucharism of pucks. The scrambler lands on Pat. You're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Pat.
Hey, guys. I don't know.
A is correct. Good job.
You're right.
Right in there.
Pat, we just mentioned Darryl Strawberry. We're going to stick with him for the true or false question. Believe it or not, Darryl Strawberry of the New York Mets was immortalized at the 1986 New York State Fair with a 600-pound sculpture made out of butter. True or false?
Wow.
Darryl Strawberry, State Fair. I say true.
True?
It was.
True.
Yeah. Yep.
Sounds like a distinction that would be shared by Mike Mayo at some point in time. With a food tie-in there. All right, 2 for 2. Everybody's excellent. Haven't had a question missed yet.
Wow.
Here's your 3-pointer, Pat.
All right, here we go. Baseball, Pat. In the second inning of Tuesday's game, the Texas Rangers had 4 players hit for a lineup cycle, each individually single, double, triple home run. Last time it happened in postseason play was in the 90s. When what team did it? Or it was done by
Wow.
Was that the Marlins, the Yankees, the Braves, or the Tigers?
Let's go with the Marlins.
Couldn't be the Marlins. They never had a cycle until this year.
1991 Braves did it.
Okay, yeah. Louis Rice had the first guy to hit for a cycle for the Marlins, right, this year.
I think so, yeah.
In their 31-year history or whatever it is. Going for 7 points. Moving into second place here, Pat.
All right, Pat, NBA. Who was the first player in NBA history to be elected league MVP by a unanimous vote?
Okay.
Was that Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, or Steph Curry?
Curry.
Curry.
All
Wow.
right.
Really
Hard to believe it didn't happen till him.
Jordan never did.
That is amazing, isn't it? Who voted against Jordan?
Yeah, I was going to say
I don't know.
every time.
Probably Scottie Pippen.
Hang
I
around
would think.
in the finals.
Imagine. LeBron, by the way, I mean, off to an MVP start to this season, Louis. How is this man doing it?
I don't
Holy Ponce de Leon, this man has found a fountain of youth somehow. He says he pays great attention to his body and his mind there, tries to advance him every day. But last night he advanced him past the LA Clippers in overtime. Guy's like 100 years old, and he played 40 some odd minutes in the game. It's incredible. All right, 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Before we get into our next caller and our next player, let's get in a word about Perdomo Cigars. Is there any relation between the Perdomo, the shortstop for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and Nick Perdomo by any chance?
No,
I found myself rooting for this guy just because of the name. I found myself
he
hoping
made a
this guy
couple
would
of
do well.
smoking hot plays. I'll tell you that. He made some
Good
great
defensive
plays in the
shortstop.
field.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good defensive player. And
Bunch
you don't
too
have
much
to be
for
defensive
my.
to go.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You don't have to be defensive to go to Perdomo. Just go to 5150 Northwest 167th Street, right off the Palmetto on the south side there. For my retirement, the greenskeeper gave me a box of Perdomo cigars. I saved them till yesterday, and then when the golfers arrived for Monday for the St. Jude's, I gave them out one by one, and they all said, "Wow, Perdomos? Are you kidding me? These are terrific." So you can get them yourself. 305-627-6700 the number to call. 5150 Northwest 167th Street, the place to go. And they're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. On the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you want to get some for Breeders' Cup or to watch a football game, go to any tobacconist near you to get these fine cigars. And this weekend, as a matter of fact, I got a Perdomo horse for you in the Juvenile Turf Sprint, which I goes Friday. Take a good look at a horse named Slider, and that'll be our Perdomo horse of the day. So when Slider crosses the wire, I hopefully first put something right in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
Shouldn't Alex Bregman, who has No Name Mets, I believe is the name of the horse, the third baseman for the Astros, shouldn't he also be the owner of Slider? Wouldn't that be appropriate?
They don't call him anymore. What do they call him now? They have a different name for sliders.
Sweeper.
Yeah, stupid.
They're calling curveball sweepers. You know, what's amazing is most announcers, now you're watching it on TV, so you can see whether it's a fastball or a breaking ball. And I don't know that the announcer's always watching the monitor. I don't think I would be if I was calling a baseball game necessarily. You might watch the monitor from time to time when you're doing a boxing match, because sometimes, the guys are kind of blocked from view and you can see what's going on the other side of the ring. Although, every now and then you realize that you're getting the optic kind of backwards. And as you see the guy flying out of the ring, he's landing in your lap. So it's a little bit dangerous sometimes to take your eye off the action if you're calling a game. But how many times they just misidentify a breaking ball is pretty incredible, because you're watching going, no, that could not have been a fastball there. And the guy, oh, there's that four-seamer again. And you're watching this slop go over the plate at about 89 miles an hour, as if Tommy John himself had thrown a pitch up there. But this new name of the sweeper, it was the slurve at one point. The combination slider curveball.
Yeah.
But does anybody throw the overhand curveball anymore? The old Bob Gibson, 12 to 6 dropping curveball. You don't see too much of that. All right. Perdomo Cigars, great stuff. All right, we're going to take a quick. Oh no, we're going to take another player in here.
Our last player, and then we can break, and then we can do our finals.
Good job, Lubie, producing on the fly here. Although, as that happens, we lose the video of Gurggles, which is never a positive development while conducting a show. Maybe we should break right now, Lubie. See what happens. We'll come back. We'll play one more and then go to the finals here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge and try to recover Gurggles in just a moment. Now that
I hear him at least.
Yeah. It's 8:45. We need to see the Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante. The Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici just switched the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
The dulcet tones of the Polyman to bring us back into the show here. We are having a little bit of a technical issue with Dave Gurggles Gergely, and we're not sure exactly what the solution to this will be. But having nothing to do with
Can you hear me?
Wade, yes, we can hear you. So that's
then the audio is all you need is the audio. Yeah.
Yes.
No, we love looking at you. I mean, looking at a blank black screen is not exactly appealing to the the visual side of the show. Yeah, but
it could be my best side. All right.
Well, we're late in the game anyway, so we'll be able to conclude this, and I'm sure the people can put up with it because it was an unfortunate glitch towards the end of the show when we've been having our share of abortions as far as broadcasting goes. As I said, nothing to do with Roe versus Wade, and if the Republicans had gotten wind of what was happening with us on the broadcasting side, they would have banned us altogether. Because today we were supposed to feature on our Tony Bruno Sports Network show. I mean, this would have been one of the luckiest gets of all time. But it was set up in advance of Bobby Knight's passing, and John Feinstein was scheduled to join us today, but we had to blow it off because of the uncertainty about being able to actually get him to appear on the program with the technical side of things. And that would have been, I mean, who better to talk to outside of maybe, Coach K?
Yeah,
about Bobby Knight, Parcells maybe. And if you were going to go to a journalist, the one guy you would want to have on would be John Feinstein.
Yes.
Although we will have Len Robbins, who was quite familiar with Bobby Knight as well, because that was in the heyday of him covering college hoops for the New York Post. So, and he was also, I believe, at the worst game in the history of the National Football League last week, and that was the Jets and the Giants. So much to discuss there. But we'll have that coming up later on. It's 10 to 12 Eastern. Download the app, Tony Bruno Sports Network. And you can't see this necessarily, Gurggles, but crossing our fingers that it went well enough yesterday to believe that it's going to go well today. Lubie, would you say that that's a fair statement?
I think we'll be okay. They busted their ass, so I think we'll be good.
All right, let's play one more with the audio version of Dave Gurggles Gergely only. And the audio feature is what we're going to lean on here. And we will go ahead and have Dave with the next set of questions. Firing off there, Dave. Or so we thought.
Unless we've lost him.
Okay. Well, we lost him, and what do we do then? Just declare dual winners in this game? I think we have to declare Ron the winner by...
Ron had the most... Oh, yeah, Ron.
Wait, let me look at the new gaming laws. Here we go.
Ron was a sweeper, so I'd make Ron the winner, yeah.
Sweeper? Okay, yeah, we're going to make Ron the winner.
I don't know what happened.
Very unfortunate, yeah. We had Gurggles visually, audio-wise. Are we
So I,
just doomed here, Lubie? I mean, this is not a good omen for
no,
today.
I mean, our stuff's fine.
Yeah.
It's not us. Like
Well,
actually,
he's got that whole new technical setup going on there where they
they
moved
moved
into,
him.
some kind of temporary trailer
Ever
as they
since
were
they
doing
moved
construction.
him, it's been hit or miss, which is sort
Dicey
of
at best, yeah. So it may be prohibitive to think about immediately throwing the trivia challenge on, which I think I always felt this way. It would be wildly popular around the country.
I'm aware of your feelings. The truth. I don't have anything against it. It's just Paulie Man at this point. It needs the Paulie Man, and the Paulie Man. I don't know where he's at. That's my only issue with the Paulie.
This is the question. Yeah, I keep asking him if he's ready to make a comeback. It's not like he's Ricky Hatton here, and he's gonna, quickly. He doesn't need to lose the weight, but Hatton would have to drop about 100 pounds if he was going to come back and fight, even though he may still have some shelf life left. But yeah, it's questionable whether we pull that off. We will, like I said, have Len Robbins on the show today and talking about Bobby Knight. What were your feelings? I mean, you weren't really in the heyday of Bobby Knight's success as an Indiana coach. You were what, Lubie, like 10 years old? I mean,
it was near the end of his success. I remember the Calbert Cheney team in the 90s. So he was still like the man, and it was before the Nil Reed. So even though he had thrown the chair and he was known as a gruff dude like Parcells and
the press conferences were, very Parcellsian in the way he
still
conducted.
was held in high esteem, and the old way of coaching still was the way. So people didn't get on him. So I was a fan when he had his meltdown to the point where he finally caught up with him in the late 90s.
I can tell you when I really started playing a lot of basketball after moving to Long Island, and I really sort of got into it when I was about 15, 16 years old. I'd played some, oddly, in New York where it's considered the game. Growing up in Brooklyn, I would say we essentially never played basketball. The only basketball we played was they had that little game and it was a very primitive version of what would become video games. But and this was an actual game where you had a guy and he had a little trigger on him and he shot the ball underhand and you had a basket set up and a backboard. And the big thing about it was like it had a little wheel that you could change the score on. And the game itself was really ridiculously boring, but you played it because it seemed innovative at the time that you had like this scoreboard capability and you had the guy actually shooting. He shot the ball like Guy Rogers with the underhand free throw, Rick Barry style. But all the shots were taken, and that was it. We didn't play a lot of actual basketball growing up. When I was a kid in Brooklyn in the 50s, it was all hybrid versions of baseball. That's all you did. We played very little football. And if at all, and no basketball whatsoever. So I moved to Long Island, started playing basketball a little bit because they actually had gyms that you could use, right? And every now and then, I mean, being sharp and coming from the city, most of the kids did. They had moved from some, area of New York City out to Long Island. Belmore was where they had just started filling in swampland, Lubie, and putting housing, projects up there. Not projects, but what would it be?
Yeah, neighborhoods, whatever. Yeah.
Neighborhoods, yeah. So, there was a lot of that, people leaving the city. And, at first we were all playing, various versions of baseball or whatever. But then, the attention turned to basketball. And I remember, Bobby Knight was like, people would say, okay, yeah, let's go Bobby Knight. And it was a signature thing of his that he played the tough man-to-man defense.
Yes.
And, of course, in this motion offense that he ran in the half court, you had everybody screening away from the ball. That was the big thing with Bobby Knight, and it worked very effectively. In fact, you could play the game that way, and it seems like the right way to do it if you're running any kind of offensive system, as opposed to the weave, which was a common play at the time. And so, people would literally call out, "Let's go, Bobby Knight!" Right, and that was a time where you started forget about this soft 2-3 zone. We're going man to man, get in the guy's face, play a little tenacious defense,
Yep.
or as best as you can, and then we're setting picks away from the ball. We're running, and guys are scrambling, circulating all throughout the court there. And I remember just running incessantly, even on the offensive end, in a half-court game.
Yep.
So, yeah, he was influential in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of good things happened with Bobby Knight as a coach, but it was hard to get past, some of the absolutely, obscene things that he was capable of doing also. I don't know. Are they going to follow through, though? My favorite thing about Bobby Knight what was the quote that he had at a press conference that when they bury him, and I may be improvising a little bit on this one, but he said essentially, when I'm buried, I want to be buried upside down so everybody can kiss my ass.
I mean, it's been like.
Does that not summarize what this guy, was like as a public persona?
Oh, yeah, until he eventually became ED himself. I mean, so he became, I think, a kinder, gentler Bobby Knight. I hope.
Patrick Fox, man. I mean, only he would be familiar with this. Maybe a couple of other people that I know that listen to the show on occasion. But Pineapple Mike Laurel was the basketball coach. And Pat Fox says that he let the people, the kids, play in the gym in the 70s. I graduated in 69. But no, you had access to gyms when you were living on Long Island. And, of course, everybody played in the park all day long. And the classic being that true or false, if you ask people, has Jeff DeForest ever been in a basketball game with Julius Erving? The answer is yes. It's true. Where he used to show up at the Merrick Road Park. And, those were the classic games. And even Jim Larinaga was familiar with the players that were participating in those games. I'm surprised, it would have been amazing. Imagine if I'd run across Larinaga as a kid. Because that's when I really got interested in basketball. We were playing a lot, and I was 16, I think. And we used to go to this park at night, and there was, the usual thing. It was typical New York stuff. I don't know if it happens as frequently here, where one basket has like 40 guys waiting to play, and the other basket has one old guy, and he's shooting baskets with like his grandson. And if you lose the game, you go over and you challenge him to 2-on-2 because you want to keep playing. You don't want to sit out like 3 hours and wait to get on the court. But the team that was assembled there that held the court all night long, and we mentioned this to Larinaga, and it turned out that his arch rival was one of the kids that played that I remember being on the court at the time, where the three-man team was Dr. J, a young Dr. J, 16 years old, Dick McGuire, the former coach of the New York Knicks, who was just a hard-ass defensive player, and who was going to question what he did? He would punch you in the balls. And what are you going to do? It's Dick McGuire, for God's sake. Brother Frank, Brother Al. I mean, a very, very, solid, and considerable person in terms of basketball history. And then a young kid named Eddie Malloy. Well, I guess we were all young kids at the time, but and it turns out Eddie Malloy was the arch rival through high school of the great Jim Larinaga as a player. So I think you were shocked that time, because sometimes I'm going to drop like an obscure name on somebody and you're afraid that they're going to say, what the fuck is that, DeForest? And this was as obscure as it could get because Eddie Malloy, if you Google Eddie Malloy, you will not see anything about the basketball player, who I don't know what he ended up doing in his career. He was kind of small and unlikely to have been an NBA player. I don't know if he ever had a professional career of any type or where he even went to college. But there was an official named Eddie Malloy, and he takes all precedence over. You can't find this kid on the internet, yet we dropped his name to Jim Larinaga, and he went on for about a half hour about the guy. But, that was my indoctrination into, trying to get into some serious basketball. And the big thing there was people would call out Bobby Knight. And of course, what would happen, right? You're thinking, I would rather guard the 60-year-old Dick McGuire, even though he's going to punch me in the balls, than be embarrassed by Dr. J or Eddie Malloy. But you were going to lose anyway, and it was only a matter of time before, he said, well, how long, has your son been limping like that? And then you would challenge those guys to the game there, even though, you were playing with an old man and some kid that was unfortunately physically impaired. Anything to keep going, keep a schwitz going. All right, we're going to bail out of here. We will have a Degenerate Friday for you tomorrow, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be action-packed with Kate and Bradar later on in the day on our Tony Bruno Sports Network show. Tune that in and see if we get it together today, because we did get on the air yesterday. I know there have been some glitches. Just be patient. The thing's only been in action for 4 days now. And it's an interesting thing about this particular aspect of the business, Lubie, as you discover that there were things that you needed to know prior to getting going that would have been very helpful in getting off to a more successful launch. A shame, though, that we blew off Feinstein today because we were afraid we wouldn't get him on the air. And he's one of those guys that we only get to talk to periodically. So, we blew off Iron Eagle. I think, he was going to be with us on Tuesday. We never got on the air, so that was a good move. And so all of those guys are scheduled to join us next week. But, I mean, how could you have looked any better as a producer, Lubie, if you had John Feinstein on the show today and the day after I would imagine if you tried to contact him, he probably would do it.
Probably still
Although
get him.
he's got to be doing like 1 million shows today, don't you think?
100%, and I just don't trust it.
Yes, well, we don't know if we can get a guest on yet.
We still have yet to do a full show. Even yesterday's show.
Well, we started about 10 minutes late.
It didn't. Well, I didn't sound good until like the last half. So like, I want
okay.
to do a couple full shows before I go to people we don't talk to often. Like even a Visser
right. Yeah, we don't want to be embarrassed by what's going on because people get a first impression. It's kind of like the restaurant thing with Mike Mayo, which will be at Wicked Cheesesteaks 1 o'clock today.
Yes. I'm already like thinking about what I want us to get. We haven't been there.
Yeah, I mean that guy Brian, he puts out a hell of a cheesesteak.
He does. He does a hell of everything.
When I was watching that guy eat, that was across from us, and he just had like the regular cheesesteak.
It's fucking.
And I looked at the size of that fucking thing. Wow. Because I want a giant one. I don't want some guy shaving meat like he was Paul Sorvino in the Goodfellas movie. I mean, I want it shaved, but at the same time, I want a pile of that shit. But to me, largesse is big in the cheesesteak industry. What do you think, Lubie?
Yeah. You want a massive cheesesteak.
I want onions. I want peppers. I want to put a little hot sauce on it. I want a decent quality of meat, good piece of bread, and that's it. But they do that at Wicked Cheesesteaks, and then he's got that pepperoni thing, which is a different twist on the cheesesteak, and that is great also. Good job yesterday too, Casa Calabria. Wow, we can't thank the chef enough over there. Frank Tallarico, that was a lot of fun yesterday. 2-year anniversary of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. So we enter year number 3, or we did yesterday, and we will be at Wicked Cheesesteaks. That's Commercial Boulevard, just south of Commercial on Federal Highway. You can't miss it, really. I mean, it's
easy to find.
Very easy to find. And a guy does a great job with pizzas and wings and all kinds of things.
Does everything. That's the thing.
Lobster rolls. Wow.
He does
baked goods, ice cream. He's got it all there.
The mac and cheese bites are ridiculous.
everything I've had there has been great. I really enjoy going there. So we'll be there later on today. We'll see you then. We have our No Filter thing coming up, and you can check that out at nofilter.net. And then Tony Bruno Sports Network, day number 2 for us, day number 4 for the network. And download the app, or what is the other way of doing it?
TonyBrunoSportsNetwork.com. I mean,
that's it.
Yes, all these things are easy to find. Like it's easy to.
I'm optimistic about this one. We've been involved in a lot of startup projects since the last couple of years. We've been kind of cast adrift there from terrestrial radio, which I don't mind either. I mean, something's gonna you throw enough shit against the wall kind of theory is what we're working at, and this aspect of the business has continued to just evolve if it wasn't there already.
Yep.
So very optimistic about what's going to go on because I believe. I haven't heard that much of Pete Shepard, although what I have heard I thought was excellent. He's the guy that's doing Morning Drive there, and then we follow 10 to 12. So if you like our stuff, I mean, you would have to think that's 2 for 2. And then they don't have a 12 to 3 show yet, but Tony Bruno comes on 3 to 6. And Tony's, I mean, he still has it. I was listening yesterday. The guy's great, man.
Yeah, he sounds like the Tony Bruno I used to listen to.
It's
when I first started working at iHeart.
You got to be quick. Yeah, you got to be quick with Tony. He comes up with so many lines. It's fantastic, man. I'm very optimistic about that. So we'll have that coming up at 10 o'clock today. Appreciate you guys if you tune in, download the app, and see if you can find Lubie and me on the Tony Bruno Sports Network, which I'm hoping is a long-term project. I really enjoyed doing that. All right, so we'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
Yeah, a lot of stuff tomorrow with handicapping and games, and you got the Dolphins and the Chiefs we didn't mention. And congrats to the Rangers, first ever World Series championship. It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.